Well, I guess it had to happen at some point for reasons which will become very clear to you in just a moment. That's right, Dennis Prager, the dean of my alma mater, Prager University, go Devils, has contracted COVID-19. But apparently that was exactly what Dennis wanted. He told his audience that he went to an event in Colorado for the presumed GOP frontrunner in the race for governor with a desire to contract the deadly disease. Here's what he said, lest you doubt me. It is infinitely preferable to have natural immunity than vaccine immunity, and that is what I have hoped for the entire time. Hence, I have engaged with strangers, constantly hugging them, taking photos with them, knowing that I was making myself very susceptible to getting COVID. It is what I wanted, in the hope that I would achieve natural immunity and be taken care of by therapeutics. That is exactly what has happened. So let's get this straight. Instead of getting a vaccine developed by his Lord and Savior Donald Trump,
I am the chosen one,
which has been proven to be safe and effective, Dennis actively made himself susceptible to contracting COVID-19, hoping he would get the disease so that he could develop a natural immunity to getting the disease. If Dennis survives, his plan is to travel the globe contracting some of the world's most deadly viruses, in an effort to build up natural immunity, of course. First up is West Africa, where he'll attempt to catch the Lassa virus, which kills more than 5,000 people a year. Then he's off to the local animal shelter, hoping to contract rabies, with its higher death toll of 17,400 people per year. Neither of which will be a problem for Dennis, having survived a disease that killed over 3 million people in 2020. Dennis didn't get vaccinated because he, quote, was not comfortable getting an experimental vaccine produced with brand new technology that had never before been deployed in humans on a mass scale without long-term safety data, end quote. By definition, he said, we won't have that for a number of years. Which is why Dennis preferred the natural route of getting COVID so he could build up immunity to getting COVID. Of course, Dennis's preference for this natural approach apparently went out the window once he contracted the virus. Instead of letting his body fight the disease naturally, building up that infinitely preferable natural immunity on its own, Dennis got treated with monoclonal antibodies, Regeneron, a therapeutic unnaturally developed by doctors and scientists, kind of like the vaccine, and also in the experimental stages currently approved only for emergency use by the FDA. This is funny, we really don't have any long-term safety data for Regeneron either. It's almost like taking Regeneron is as nuts as taking the vaccine. Dennis is now complaining that the wicked media will only do additional reporting on his condition if he dies, saying nothing if he survives. Of course, that is how the media works. The vast majority of people who contract COVID will survive. So not only is there a lack of story in such reporting, but taking the time to report all of the people who survive would completely dominate the news every night, leaving room for nothing else. Here's what I'd like to know. At that event in Colorado, was Dennis telling all these people, the people he was hugging and taking pictures with, perhaps French kissing, that he was there looking to contract COVID, and that for all he knew, he'd already succeeded in catching the deadly virus? When he boarded the plane for the trip home, did he tell the airline or the people on the plane that his purpose in coming to Colorado was to contract the highly communicable disease? I'm sure he believes that masks don't work, so he had to imagine that he was spreading COVID all over the place on that plane if he had indeed caught it. As batshit crazy as Dennis is, as stupid as he's become, I'm wishing him well. I truly hope he recovers. But I have to admit, I would love to see this virus have one nasty little side effect. I'd love to see the disease take his voice and keep him from broadcasting such nonsense. Nonsense he would have laughed at back when he and I were friends and working together some 30 years ago. Just as he laughed at and mocked Trump back in 2015. One can only imagine the number of people who will now follow his example, and with dire consequences. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.